Welcome to this session of Writing Fluency for grades 3 through 5, part of our 21-22 Literacy Explorations Professional Learning Series. So we're so excited to have you here joining us today. And let's begin with some introductions. My name is Courtney Grant, and I'm an ELA support specialist. And I love writing, and I love teaching writing. It's always been one of my favorite things to do. I was a classroom teacher for 17 years prior to moving into this support role, and I was lucky enough to train as a young teacher back in New York City with the Teachers College Reading and Writing Project, and it changed my life and it made me into the teacher that I am today.
Hi there, my name is Abby Carlson, and I'm also an ELA teacher support specialist. I'm coming to you with 16 years of classroom teaching experience, and I'm also a National Writing Project Fellow. And our main component of the National Writing Project is that teachers teach teachers. And I love sharing strategies for writing success so that every teacher feels passionate and capable of teaching strong writing in their classroom.
In this session, we're going to be talking about writing fluency versus writing instruction, setting up for success with writing fluency, prompts to support writing fluency, and also conferring as assessment. So Abby's going to go ahead and get us started with writing fluency versus writing instruction.
So, this session focuses on writing fluency. Writing fluency is the ability to generate text, a lot of it, in a short period of time. This habit of rapidly thinking and writing at the same time supports more complex writing tasks throughout the year. It's graded for quantity, not quality. As opposed to writing instruction, which is deliberate and daily standards based instruction about the moves good writers make as they compose. Writing instruction is about quality and quantity. So, in this session, we're going to give you strategies and ideas for improving writing fluency, which will later lead to more deliberate writing instruction. We want to instill the idea of developing writing as a habit. From the book Notebook Know-How by Amy Buckner, she says, "And as I filled my notebook, something significant began to happen. I was learning to write fluently, to get text down on paper in order to go back to it. I was rereading, reflecting, and writing some more. I discovered my own ideas and things I wanted to dwell on in my notebook."
Let's take a look at some things we can do within our classrooms to help us get set up for success with writing fluency. As Abby mentioned, building up writing fluency is a practice in grades 3 through 5 that involves putting a focus on the volume of writing that students are producing. They write as much as they can for as long as they can until the time is through. In order to set up your class for success with writing fluency, we'd like to talk about two things today: developing stamina and hand strength, and the importance of having a dedicated, personalized writing notebook. First, building up stamina and hand strength. When building fluency is your aim, focus on the length of student writing, the number of actual words that students are able to generate. That is best done by daily writing fluency practice that increases in duration over time to slowly build up your hand strength. You want to start with a small amount of time only, maybe even just 3 minutes, and gradually increase the time as students are writing more and staying in the writing flow for longer and longer. It's important to always end at the peak of enjoyment. You want to stop, and when you do, hear everyone say, "No, I'm not done yet," or "Can we keep on writing?" That means that they'll be eager to go back to fluency practice next time. Ideally, you want to start fluency practice at the start of the year, but it's never too late to begin. You can introduce the fluency activities and prompts that we're going to look at later at any point, but the sooner the better. Remember, fluency practice is just a stepping stone to long process writing, like a genre study or a unit. Fluency practice helps students write more confidently and generate more ideas during those units. Also, teaching students how to generate ideas for writing and the careful use of prompts is crucial to building writing fluency. Not all prompts are created equal for this purpose. So during fluency practice, prompts need to encourage personal connection, choice, and endless possibility. And Abby's going to address this in the next section, and you'll have time to even try some out. Developing writing fluency is best done with a pencil or pen and a notebook. Digital tools are an important and necessary piece of writing instruction, and they're also not quite as helpful as encouraging writing fluency. In fact, research has shown that students are better able to recall what they have written when writing by hand. The writer's notebook is central to developing fluency, and as there is an art to launching writing notebooks in order to make them a prized possession and an impactful tool. To do this, we talk about how writers are always filling their notebooks with ideas, lists, poems, and drafts of all sorts. We show students our own writing notebooks full of ideas, and we talk about how the words inside of the notebook are part of you, and the outside should represent you too. Then we make notebooks that represent us. So to do this, and here's mine. I've actually had this notebook for, 17 years. 17 years. I went back and added pictures of my kiddos to the notebook after they were born. So to make a writing notebook, you need a composition notebook, tons of kid-friendly magazines, art paper, old greeting cards, stickers. Invite kids to bring these in from home too, and maybe even an old photo with their parents' permission. Cut and glue things until the front cover is filled with things that each student loves. Then, using packing tape, cover the front, and your notebook will last forever. So after you have your notebooks personalized, add some tabs to help organize your notebook. There's more than one way to use them well, but having a fluency practice tab is a must-have if fluency is your goal. I also like to add a writer's choice tab for student choice projects and free writes. And Abby also loves to add tabs for each unit of study in writing. So there's lots of options, and you can choose the option that works the best for you and your style of teaching. Next, to help set the stage for success with fluency, you want to reinforce the idea that writers write from the heart. They draw inspiration from the things that matter to their lives. That is why the first project in our writing notebooks is always a heart map. Students draw or trace a large heart and begin to fill it in with the things that they love, the people they love, the places they love, all the things that matter to them. These can be done on large paper and folded and taped inside the first page, or they can be done right in the notebook, or they could be displayed in the classroom for use when you need them. Whatever you decide to do, whether you make them plain or whether you make them artful, there's no wrong way to do it, but make sure that students are able to use them as a tool and a resource to go to their heart for writing inspiration. Okay, and with that, Abby's going to give us some suggestions and ideas for how to support fluency through thoughtful prompts.
Yes, definitely. So the prompts that I use for students primarily come from Notebook Know-How by Amy Buckner because these prompts are wide. They have many different entry points. We want to make sure that the prompts that we use for our students work for all student experiences. So we want to kind of stay away from very specific prompts like your best birthday party or what did you do over the weekend. Those can bring up different emotions for students. So this first idea is called writing from a list. This idea is meant for students to make a quick list based on a self-selected topic. Lists might include things they are experts on, best events in their lives, worst events, favorite words. Think about it. These lists are fluency practice. They're generating many, many words. Now, once your students have composed lists, They can compose more lists and more lists, or they can star things on their list that they could write more about. Students then write an entry on those ideas. This is an easy writing task that can be used again and again for generating topics. Lists can be used to collect words, quotes, fun facts on a topic to be used within a drafted piece of writing. So think about what lists you would make. The first list I might make would be a list of first times. The first time I drove a car, the first time I came to New Mexico, the first time I was on an airplane. I have stories about each of those firsts. Last time, the last time I saw my dad, the last time I drank coffee, the last time, the list can go on and on. I can also write parts of a reptile, and I can list different parts within that. The list can continue, but each list has small writing topics that can transform onto new pages and become new pieces of writing. Once my students have written their list page, they can choose to begin a draft or just continue making new lists. But when that writing fluency time is done, I have my students count up every single word on the page, every word that they wrote, including the month of the year, the titles, any word that they wrote can count. They write that number at the bottom of their entry. Let's go on to the next idea. History of a name. This is a really special writing fluency activity that can be turned into several different writing activities or into one drafted piece to get to know your students. Now, if you're working with young kids, they can write their name at the top of their page. They can also write the name of their pet or their name of their favorite stuffed animals. They can even write their nickname or last name. They just have to write a name at the top of their page. Then the writing is they can write to explain or explore by answering some of these questions. How was the name chosen? Who chose the name? What do you like or dislike about the name? Are there others with this name? This fluency strategy can turn into a drafted piece of writing that students will need to gather more information from maybe family members. This strategy can also be used when students are exploring character names for their writing. So, when we had participants do this earlier, some chose to write about their middle name, some wrote about their last names. When I write about my name, my title is always just Abby. Because when I meet people and I introduce myself, they say, Abigail? No, just Abby. I also talk about the parts of my name that I don't really like. Growing up with brothers, my name is very rhymable. Flabby, crabby, scabby. So I talk about the frustrations of my name, but I also talk about how much I like my name as well. So, the history of a name is a great fluency activity that, just like with all the others, you'll want students to write for a period of time. And when the writing time is done, count up the number of words written and write it at the bottom as data. Then, for this one, you see an icon that says Magic Headphones. Magic Headphones is a strategy that I'll have my students do every time they write. Every time they write. Magic Headphones is where students close their ears. Now, if you do this right now and you talk, you'll sound a little bit like you're underwater. Hello, hello. I can hear myself really quickly when I plug my ears, but I can't hear what other people are saying as clearly. So I will have every single student in class put on their magic headphones at the same time. So you see all kids covering their ears, either plugging the small parts or covering their whole ears like earmuffs, and they'll all start reading their pieces together. When they read their writing out loud, that's often the time that students will catch that they missed a word or that they misspelled a word. And it's a minute to self reflect on their own writing. Sometimes, as a teacher, After everyone's done with Magic Headphones, I'll say, did anyone revise their writing quickly during Magic Headphones? And someone might raise their hand and say, I left out 3 words that I was thinking and I didn't write them because she's working so fluently. But Magic Headphones is a great strategy to use every day at the end of fluency writing, sometimes before they count out their words. For this next strategy, we have observations or questions. This is really great for the students who maybe are really hesitant with writing. All kids have questions. All writers can observe. So, with this strategy, you can use images from science, social studies, literature, even from current events. Down below, I inserted 2 images from Benchmark. Before I would teach a unit, I would have my students look at images and just start writing to what they notice, what they wonder, then start asking questions. Why? How? Writers are encouraged to write to explore, to connect, or even to show what they already know. The goal in this is fluency, getting students to write as much as they can, as fast as they can. On the next slide, this is an extension of the writing to observe or question, but this website, Once Upon a Picture, gives images to inspire. Now, these are a little outlandish. They are pretty imaginative photos, or I'm sorry, images that just looking at them can be the start of a writing fluency activity. When you click on the images, there are prompts inside or even some teaching strategies. So we recommend you check out this website. And this could even be a small group or a center that your students work on for their daily writing fluency. They go through this website, find one to write about, and then try to fill up a whole page with text. That would be great. This next writing fluency activity, this is my favorite. This is power writing. Now, we'll attach some instructions for how to do this more explicitly. And this would have been great if we were doing this live with participants. What happens is it starts with the students just talking. There's no writing at the beginning of this. It starts with the teacher at the whiteboard. And the teacher is listening to the students, or perhaps they already have 2 topics already selected. So I'm a 5th grade teacher. Let's say one of my topics would be New Mexico and one would be New York. I have the students start talking. What are some words associated with New Mexico? Green chili, balloons, desert. Then, when students are writing about New York, maybe they might know the New York Giants or the New York Yankees, or they might know Broadway. So, as students are generating lists, I'm writing them on the board. Then I'll have the students start thinking about, if you were going to write about New Mexico, what would you write about? And so the students will start brainstorming and they'll talk to their neighbor about New Mexico, and their neighbor will talk to them about New Mexico, and they'll get some ideas about New Mexico. Stop. Now talk about New York. And then the students will say, I've always wanted to go to New York. Oh, they have this Empire State Building. They'll keep talking to each other and keep talking to each other. Then I ask them to stop. And I ask them to choose one that they want to write about. Students almost always ask, can we write about both? Of course you can. The goal is fluency. But I ask students to really start honing in on what are they going to write, thinking about their organization. How are they going to start? Are they going to start with a sound? Are they going to start with a time word? Are they going to start with facts? Then, when students go back to their desks or when they open up their notebooks, they write the topic that they want to write about. Either write New Mexico or New York. Then we have a mantra. We say out loud, I am a writer. I am a powerful writer. I will write as much as I can, as well as I can, until the time is through. Yes, fifth graders say that. Second graders love shouting that. All students love powerful mantras. Then I set the timer. Students hold up their pencils and I say, go. Students start writing, students start writing, students start writing. And I, as the instructor, am taking kind of the pace of the class. If everyone is fully engaged, keep going. If you notice some students stop, that's a great time to stop right there. You'll hear groans and moans and I'm not done, I'm not done. Each day, if you keep doing the power writing activity, you'll see.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Sorry, my watch is going off. If you keep doing this activity, you will see your students will increase their stamina for writing, the amount of time that they can spend writing. Now, once your students are done, just like always, put on your magic headphones, everyone. Read your writing out loud. Then count up the number of words you write and write it at the bottom of your notebook. Sometimes students in 7 minutes can write over 200 words. Some students can write 13 words. But as a teacher, my job is to make sure they have a place to catch it. And then the next day, when we work on our writing fluency, I have them look at their day before writing and say, can you write one more word than you wrote yesterday? That honors our prolific writers, our struggling writers, and everyone in between. So next, we're going to talk about connections to benchmark. When you have the habit of writing strong in your class, then we can go more into the standards-based writing instruction. In third grade, Unit 2, it asks students to write a fable. This is an example of the checklist of the finished fable. There are many components to this that if we just assign writing to students, it might seem overwhelming. But you can take components of this fable checklist, and those can be part of your fluency process. So each day of your fluency writing, you can take different parts. Ooh, talk about dialogue between your two characters. Write down a conversation that they might have, and that is your student's fluency activity for the day. Write down the setting. What did it look like at the beginning of this fable? That could be their fluency writing. Then, when students they will revise and edit as they connect their components together. When writers are in the habit of writing and teachers are in the habit of conferring, standards-based writing assignments are more manageable for everyone. All right, Courtney, can you talk to us a little bit about conferring?
Absolutely. That was a great transition. Thanks, Abby. So what I'd like to do is start by reading you this quote from Doug Fisher. If you can read everything your students write, you're not assigning enough writing. And that really gets to the heart of what's essential in writing fluency is that volume, that daily write to develop that fluency habit. And remember that writing fluency practice is a powerful strategy that helps students develop the stamina and the confidence needed to be successful in long process writing units of study and genre studies. So that means our assessment is going to look a little bit different in writing fluency. We want students writing every single day, and we don't want to go in and look at each piece or assess each piece. Instead, we want to use a writer's conference. That's going to give us the most impact and the most powerful information about our students to help us turn the work they're doing in writing fluency into really successful writing in writing instruction. Okay, so let's look at some of the components of a writing conference, and let's start with purpose. A writing conference is sitting down one-on-one with a student while the other students are busy working on other writing or other things. It's an opportunity to not only assess students, but also provide some targeted feedback and even some instructional pieces with individual students. While building fluency in your class, the focus on a writing conference is getting to know the writer and encouraging their free flowing ideas. So this should happen about once a week. Um, that is an ideal. Sometimes it might not be possible to meet with all of your kiddos, depending on how many kiddos you have every week, but definitely at least every 2 weeks. And it should be short and sweet, 5 minutes, no more than 6 or 7, but 4 or 5 is even that sweet spot. And when you are sitting with your student, here's what you want to look for. The two of you are sitting side by side. Their writer's notebook is open. They're picking a piece that they've worked on recently that they want to show you. And you're looking for volume and length. You're also looking for and listening for, through questioning, their mindset about writing, their interests, what topics they're pursuing in their writing, and you're noticing progress that might be made over the course of their writing. Um, what was their word count like 2 weeks ago when you last met them? Um, those types of things, all those little pieces, that's what's important to note when you're doing a writing conference that's related to fluency. So let's take a look at some more best practices in writing conferences. The first is be sure to have a predictable schedule that's posted and visible to students. That way they know it's a dependable thing that's going to happen. Also, prior to sitting down with any students and beginning conferring, you want to make sure that students know what to expect when they sit down to confer with you. It may be a new process for many students, and to help relieve anyone's anxiety, you want to let them know what it's going to look like, and so they can come prepared and feel comfortable when they get there. Another best practice that is admittedly incredibly hard and incredibly impactful when you do it well is to have a system of record keeping about your conferences. So, whether you're jotting down notes on sticky notes, whether you're jotting down notes in a notebook, whether you have an organized binder with pages for each student, whether you have a digital tool that helps you track your conferring records, you will find so much value in being able to return to those notes and see, what did we talk about during this conference? What teaching piece did I give them? Where were they at in their writing? And what next steps did I see for them? It's a powerful tool and great to be able to look back to prior to beginning the next conference you have with each student. All right, and the final piece. Best practice is always teach the writer, not the writing, when you sit down for a conference. Don't focus on that one piece. Focus, what lessons, what can you leave with this student? What can they take away that will make them a better writer, not just today, but every day for the rest of their life? What will they be able to take with them beyond this piece of writing? And with that, here's some language to help you out when you sit with students for writing conference. Your opening question should be simple and straightforward. How's it going? Start there. Ask students, can you say more about that? Ask them if they can show you where you tried something in their writing. And then this is my favorite. It's like the golden line. When you are giving feedback to students, you want to start by noticing something they can do well. And then you want to leave them with a next step for them to pursue. And it might sound something like this: because you can, now you are ready to. All right. We're going to go ahead and leave you with that. Abby will walk us through some final slides and some resources.
All right. Well, for me, I got started with Amy Buckner's Notebook Know-How. It's strategies for writer's notebook for how to set it up, as well as several different prompts and the ideas behind it. We also have linked Georgia Hurd's blog about heart mapping. We have some record keeping forms that will help you, and a blog. It's called Two Writing Teachers. All the information you could have about notebooks and more. Coming up in November, we will do more series. The next sessions we'll do are about decoding and encoding and small groups. We also have a Google Classroom with information about benchmark and foundations, as well as our Google PD calendar, which you can subscribe to and see what other opportunities we have for professional learning. You can always contact us. My name is Abby Carlson. This is Courtney Grant. Our information is linked there. You can also subscribe to the TLN newsletter or submit a ticket asking for more writing activities like this. Courtney and I have a wealth of information, and it was hard to just keep it to writing fluency today. We hope you enjoyed the information we provided. We want to inspire you to start small, but start quickly. Thank you so much and happy writing.